The courtroom was quiet, not the peaceful kind of quiet, but the kind that holds its breath before a storm. Harmony sat at the plaintiff's table, her hands trembling in her lap. The sound of papers shuffling, the faint buzz of the overhead lights, and the heavy echo of footsteps all pressed into her mind like a slow, constant ache. For a long moment, she couldn't look at her mother. Lorraine Pierce, elegant as ever in her navy suit, sat across the room, her back straight, her expression carved from ice. Once upon a time, Harmony used to think her mother's composure was strength. Now she understood it was armor forged from years of deceit. Mr. Walker, her attorney, leaned close. His voice was low but steady. Ready? He asked. Harmony nodded, though her throat felt dry. As I'll ever be. She'd replayed this day in her head 100 times. The day truth would finally stand taller than fear. But standing here, under the sharp glow of courtroom lights, she realized the truth wasn't just something she was about to expose. It was something that had already begun to burn through her quietly, painfully, cleansing everything she thought she knew. Judge Patel entered. The sound of the gavel cracked through the silence. Court is now in session. Mr. Walker rose first. Your Honor, the plaintiff is prepared to present evidence of long-term financial misconduct, including fraudulent transfers and forged signatures, orchestrated by Lorraine Pierce against her own daughter, Harmony Pierce. Lorraine's lawyer stood too quickly, his chair scraping the floor. Objection. That's a prejudicial statement before evidence is presented. Overruled, said the judge. Proceed, Mr. Walker. And with that, years of buried betrayal began to unearth themselves. Mr. Walker placed a thick binder on the table, its spine labeled Exhibit A. The sound of it landing echoed like a gunshot. Inside this, he said, is a decade's worth of deception. He flipped open the first tab. Tab 1 details the trust fund established in Harmony's name, the same fund her mother drained over the span of 12 years through falsified documents. Harmony's stomach turned as he spoke. She had seen those papers herself, her own forged signature curling elegantly at the bottom of the pages. Her mother's handwriting had always been flawless, graceful, even when used for lies. Walker turned to tab 2. This section documents the creation of 3 shell companies, Vanguard Holdings, Premier Investment, and Larkspur LLC, all established using Harmony's identity. Lorraine finally looked up. Her eyes were sharp, defensive, like a cornered animal pretending not to be afraid. But Harmony didn't flinch this time. For once, she held her mother's gaze, and in it she saw the strange flicker of something like shame quickly swallowed by pride. The evidence built like a tide: emails, signatures, offshore accounts. Every piece of paper was another thread pulled from the elegant web Lorraine had spun. And as it unraveled, so did the version of family Harmony had once believed in. When the defense tried to argue that Harmony had been involved, that she had benefited from her mother's decisions, Mr. Walker stepped forward, unshaken. Your Honor, he said, his tone calm but cutting, what my client received was not benefit. It was betrayal disguised as generosity. Lorraine Pierce taught her daughter to smile while the floor disappeared beneath her feet. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Lorraine's expression barely moved, but Harmony saw the tightness in her jaw, the silent rage of a woman losing control. Harmony sat through every word, every number, every lie turned into truth. Her heart ached, but somewhere deep beneath the ache was something else, a quiet strength, blooming in the ruins. She remembered birthdays her mother had missed, calls that went unanswered, the way Lorraine always said, "You'll understand when you're older." Now she understood. Her mother's empire had been built not on love, but on the illusion of it. When Mr. Walker finally closed the binder, the room was still. He looked at Harmony, then at the judge. Your Honor, the plaintiff rests her case. Harmony exhaled a long, trembling breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The silence that followed felt heavy but freeing, like the world was finally listening. Lorraine shifted slightly, her eyes no longer cold, just tired. For the first time, she looked small, like the walls she had built around herself were finally beginning to crack, and Harmony, watching her mother's world collapse piece by piece, realized something she never thought she would: justice didn't always feel like victory. Sometimes, it just felt like the truth standing alone, after everything else had fallen apart. The courtroom was emptying slowly, like a wound finally allowed to bleed. Harmony remained seated long after the gavel struck its final blow. Around her, the murmurs of reporters, the rustle of files, and the faint echo of footsteps drifted away until the room was just wood and silence and memory. Judge Patel's ruling still echoed in her ears. the court finds sufficient evidence of fraud, identity theft, and misappropriation of assets. Lorraine Pierce is hereby remanded into custody pending sentencing. It should have felt triumphant, a victory years in the making, but Harmony didn't feel victorious. She felt hollow, the kind of emptiness that comes after a storm, when the air smells of rain and loss. Lorraine stood now, wrists trembling as the bailiff fastened cold silver around them. She didn't resist, didn't speak, just lifted her chin, that same proud gesture Harmony had seen her wear to every school play, every business meeting, every lie. When their eyes met, Harmony expected anger. Instead, she saw something quieter, exhaustion, maybe even regret. Wait, Harmony said softly. The bailiff hesitated. Lorraine's eyes flicked up, searching her daughter's face for the last time without a wall between them. Harmony stood, her voice steadier than she felt. You spent years teaching me that family is everything, she said. But you never taught me what to do when family becomes the enemy. Lorraine swallowed hard. I did what I had to do. You stole my name, Harmony whispered. My trust. My future. What was it for? The houses? The money? Was it worth losing me? Lorraine looked away. You don't understand how this world works. No, Harmony said, her tone cutting through the quiet. You don't understand how love works. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The air felt heavy with all the words that had gone unsaid for years, the apologies that would never come, the memories that would never feel pure again. Then the bailiff guided Lorraine toward the door, and Harmony didn't follow. She simply watched, her heart breaking, not for the mother she'd lost today, but for the one she'd never truly had. Outside, the courthouse steps were bathed in gray sunlight. The wind smelled of rain, the city moving on as if nothing monumental had just happened. Reporters gathered near the entrance, microphones ready. Miss Pierce, any comment on the verdict? Harmony stopped, the cameras flashing like tiny, impatient stars. For years, her mother had controlled the narrative, always speaking for her, never to her. Not this time. She looked straight into the cameras and said quietly, sometimes, justice isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming the truth and yourself. Then she turned and walked away, the noise fading behind her. That night, Harmony sat in her small apartment, surrounded by boxes she hadn't opened since the trial began. One box was filled with old family photos, smiling faces, vacation trips, birthdays that now felt like scenes from someone else's life. She picked up one photograph, her and her mother at the beach, arms around each other, laughing into the wind. She remembered that day, the salt air, the warmth, the feeling of being safe. It had all been a lie, and yet, not entirely. There had been love once. Twisted, conditional, selfish perhaps, but still love in its own broken form. Harmony placed the photo back in the box. She didn't need to destroy the past to move on from it. She just needed to stop carrying its weight. Weeks later, she found herself walking along the harbor, the sky painted in soft shades of gold and lavender. The sea moved gently, endless and alive. She felt lighter now, not free from pain, but no longer ruled by it. The world ahead was uncertain, but it was hers. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Mr. Walker. Sentencing scheduled next week. She asked if you'll attend. Harmony stared at the screen for a long moment. Then she typed back, no. I already said goodbye. She slipped the phone into her pocket, took a deep breath, and kept walking. The wind tugged at her hair, carrying away the last traces of fear. Each step forward felt like a small act of defiance against pain, against silence, against the idea that her story would always belong to someone else. It was hers now, every scar, every truth, every heartbeat that had survived the fire. And somewhere deep inside, where pain once lived, something new began to grow. Not forgiveness, not yet, but something gentler. Peace. The end.